Hey, my name is Alexei Plagov, and this is going to be the chapter 23 takeaway. So, this chapter is again about informative speeches, which is, I guess, why our next speech is going to be the informative speech. But honestly, I didn't really learn a lot of new things from this one. I feel like most of the stuff incorporated in this chapter was common sense. Um, Mainly talking about the types of informative speeches you can give. For example, you can give some about people, events, concepts, issues, processes, phenomena, etc. So a lot of different various topics. And also how to communicate your information to your audience based on, again, like I said in the previous videos, age levels, information levels, intellect levels, country of origin, first language, second language. It does not matter. There's plenty of things. The main thing that I learned from all of these chapters is that you have to analyze your audience. If you analyze your audience and you communicate your speech differently than what is going to be appealing or maybe interesting to your audience, then your speech is not going to be as effective as you planned it out in your head. Again, for example, if you have children, you probably don't want to talk to children about taxes or about any government policies or anything like that. That's something they would care about maybe in their adult life, but not, again, as a child. If you're performing if you're performing a speech in front of children, you would rather talk to children about, let's say, a new toy that's coming out, a video game. Let's say, for example, an interesting person that did something cool, such as some cool invention, such as Nikola Tesla, Edison, something that they're learning about in school that you can also talk to them about any cool incorporations or just any cool topics that a child would like, such as, for example, trains, dinosaurs, toys, whatever. On the contrary, for like adults, for example, you can do like, again, taxes, reforms, different government policies, maybe open up a new component of their brain to something that they can think about or look in a different sort of perspective. Um, One thing that I found interesting are these definitions for defining things. So it's like defining something by what it does is operational, defining something by what it is not is by negation, by example, by synonym, and by etymology. I did not know that those were a thing. So that was pretty interesting to me. But again, I don't think that really matters in my speech giving itself. So again, I didn't really pay attention to that. But another thing that is to reduce confusion. So just because something makes sense in your head, it doesn't mean it makes sense in somebody else's head. So one thing to do for this is use an analogy. So an analogy is used to compare a more complicated topic to something simple. For example, I remember when I was in karate, they used the analogy of muscles as rubber bands. So you would be extending your muscles and contracting your muscles like a rubber band. So that's an analogy that used, again, I was old enough to understand like the system. But for kids who were, for example, like elementary, middle school, it was not as apparent to them of how it worked. So the teacher used the rubber band analogy. But I did read the sample speeches at the end of the chapter, and honestly, those were some of the more interesting ones. It does go through speech by speech, showing how they incorporate the topics of informative speech and all the different factors. And honestly, it was a pretty interesting speech. So, again, I didn't seem to learn as much from this speech as I did from the other one, since I already incorporate a lot of these details. And it seems pretty much common sense to just analyze the audience, talk to the audience how you would to that specific, what's it called? Faction or group. But yeah, there are different types of speeches such as people, events, concepts, issues. Those are the common ones. And yeah, this is your chapter 23 takeaway. Thank you.